Alright, so today I got this in the mail. 8889 should work for a 91, right? Sorry I didn't do the step-by-step how to take your dash apart, but there's other videos that you guys can find where you can take your dash apart. It's pretty simple. It's just these 4 little black clips right here, and you just basically press those in and it'll release the face of your gauge cluster. And then I'm about to install these. I believe it's kind of like installing tint. You spray the backside of the adhesive so you can move it around a little bit, and then just kind of finagle them on there with the stock gauges. So yeah, I'll show you the finished product when I'm done. Okay, so as you can see, installed, this was not the easiest thing, and it's still not perfect. There are little imperfections in the surface here that I literally couldn't even see before trying to apply this. Didn't even know there was anything on the dial itself when you look at it head on, and I don't think it'll show up with it installed, but under certain light, certain angles, you can see it. And these screws, as you can see, no matter what I do, I can't get this to lay down, and I'm scared to put a heat gun on it. Also, this being a kit for an 8889 and my car being a 91, it doesn't line up perfectly. As you can see, there's a lot of overlap. This didn't line up perfectly either. The tack I got to line up pretty well. The speedometer is off a little bit, and it didn't matter what you did to line it up. You could line up the later part of the speedometer, or the beginning or whatever, but you couldn't have both be exactly right on. And so right in here, there's going to be some ghosting around the 50 and 60 mile an hour marks. So I mean, not the end of the world. I don't even really think it'll be noticeable. I plan on running red LEDs. So that'll be kind of cool. Maybe it'll just hopefully it won't be a serious ghosting effect. Hopefully it'll just look pretty sinister like I want it to. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted. All right, so here it is the next day, guys. The camera's showing a lot of glare here. It doesn't really look that glary in real life. It is, I mean, there's a bit of a gloss to the overlays on the gauges, but you can still see clearly the imperfections that I mentioned last night, especially on the tack right about there. I think that's going to drive my OCD just bonkers. I think it's going to drive me crazy, and I'm probably going to end up yanking this stuff off. Just because whatever I do to this car, I want it to be quality, and that's not going to meet the standard. Move my little microphone here. So again, these are for 8889 cluster. So they don't quite fit the 9091. And what's interesting, I thought, on both the tack and the speedo is you'll notice that they're clocked counterclockwise, probably about 1/8 of an inch. Interesting, all the hash marks line up. So those don't have a problem with ghosting, even with the lights on or anything. It's just that little 50 and 60, between 50, 55 and 60 right in there. There's a little bit of ghosting because they're just off a little bit. And it's almost as if the font is smaller right there. I don't know how else to describe it. But, differences between the 8889 and the 9091. Now, when I ordered these, I could have swore I ordered for a 91 SI, which is what this car is. But I looked at their site again, and it looks like they only have the 8889 kit. And, it's one of those scenarios where, you late at night, you have a few drinks, and you're like, let's order this and see if it works. So that's kind of what it was. This, for instance, also, just so you know, is the tomato red. There's plenty of options. You can get really creative. I almost did like a spoon inspired, like a midnight blue with the fluorescent green needles. I was gonna do that, or I was thinking maybe the fluorescent green safety yellow needles with like a purple would look really cool. I mean, that's if you could get it to work, man, and make it look really nice. This, for round one, I don't know. I got it done. I don't know how long I'm going to keep them on here. I might just keep them on here because I don't really care. Maybe I'll do an EM1 cluster later or something like that. I think that's what it's called, the EM1 from like a 99 SI. I always wanted to do that, but it's a bit of work, you know. And anyway, I just thought I'd kind of, you know, vamp this up. I'll show some pictures of what I did this morning when I had the lights on to kind of show you what it would look like at night. It does have a nice red glow, and it does kind of wash out a little bit just because I have red LEDs in there now. And incidentally, this one I had to keep the incandescent bulb, at least for now, on the tack. There's 2 of them. Interestingly, the speedometer has 3, but there's only 2 of them here, and one of them I had to keep at the incandescent because I wasn't sure if I could keep power to these lights up top. If not, because they run off of this one. Now, I might order another LED just to see if I can get that lit up along with these. I don't see why not. It should still be connected. It's just kind of a weird connection that's like part of the base of this bulb. And then the other thing is I thought about yanking this stuff off and just seeing what the stock gauges look like with backlit red. So my goal is to just kind of have everything red. I got a little overlay on the clock, which is it's supposed to be red. It's 1 layer right now, and it shows up kind of pink. So I was thinking about putting another layer on there. Now the downside is you have the dimmer, so when you turn on the lights, it dims down. So I think with 2 layers of the film that I ordered, it's gonna be, which is Vivid film, by the way. I really like that stuff. It's really good to use. Anyway, I think it'll kind of disappear, especially in the daytime if I have my lights on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm thinking about finding a way to, I don't know how many wires are behind here. I haven't really researched it, but I think I can probably just clip the illumination wire and it won't tell it to dim when I turn the lights on. And then therefore it'll be the perfect shade all the time with 2 layers. So that's what I was thinking. I also did the LED conversion with all the LEDs in here. I used T3, T4, and T5 bulbs here. I use T4 and T5 exclusively here. Now it says a 74 and a 194 style, and maybe that's correct, but I can tell you that T5 and T4 also works in here. So just food for thought if you have a 91 SI. Also, I switched out my garbage Pioneer deck. It wasn't really garbage, but it wasn't my favorite. I went with an Alpine because I really like their display, and more importantly, I like the 4-volt preamp outs, but also it has the perfect shade of red, and I'll show you those pictures again. Like I said, you be the judge if you think it looks cool. I may just order another kit and you know, call this a practice run. I got these from whitegauges.net, and big ups to them. Like, it's not even their fault. I'm not blaming them at all. You know, the kit wasn't even for this car, so I think you could make it work. It's just, you know, it's a bit of work. Like the pin on the tack here, it shows online that you can pull these out a lot of times. I don't think you can pull this out without breaking something. And the tack needle literally rests on it. So I think if you pulled it out, it would look broken all the time. It would just kind of hang down. So I didn't pull that out. I literally had to kind of line it up. And then I used the tack. I made a little indent in the vinyl. And then just enough to where I knew where to poke the tack. And then I poked the tack with the, with my little thumbtack. And made a little hole for that little needle to sit in. Now these screws just never did line up, and there was something on here on the gauges, which even if you watch the video, I didn't see anything on the gauge. It looked perfectly clear, and I couldn't get it to lay down right, so it is what it is. I think I'm gonna rock these for a while, see if I like them. If I don't, you know, I'll yank them off and see what they look like. I think the red illumination on the black gauges would look good too, you know. I just wanted to give this car a bit of attitude. I like little ratchet stuff like that, and I think that this thing will be cool if I just make it, you know, mean. Future plans, I really think that gauges in this area would look good, only because I have a damaged dash here, and there's evidence of somebody having a monster tack right here, and I can tell because there's some wiring behind the cluster here. Yeah, back when some ricer owned it and wanted to rice it out, yeah, that's what they did back in the day. And anyway, and then there's I saw there was a kit you could order online that you can get a spot for 3 gauges that replace your vents here. And the only reason I'm thinking of that, I kind of wanted to keep this all functional and eventually someday put the AC back in, but I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, because I don't think I'll ever use these vents, not in this car. I think I mostly just use the defrost only. So, I mean, I don't think I'll, and I might not even put the AC in. That's a lot of work for something I rarely use. So, I know I'm rambling here. I'm gonna wrap it up, but yeah, just some thoughts. I don't know. Because of that hole, that's why I'm thinking gauges up top here would be cool. I was thinking of running like maybe ultimately 6 or 7 gauges. I don't know if I want to do the ricer A-pillar thing or what. I don't know if, I still don't even know if I want to go all motor with this car or if I want to turbo it later. I don't know what I want to do, but it's kind of up in the air. But there's so many things you can do with a car like this. That's why it's probably such a loved car, a loved platform. I always gravitate back to these EFs. But anyway, I've rambled long enough. So yeah, just an update for you guys. Okay, if you're watching right now, that means I have done the red gauge thing with the wrong face, wrong ear. Done the red LEDs for my instrumentation, and also now have screwed up my gauges. Now I know they look okay right now, but I peeled off the overlays and they left some residue on the gauges, just in certain splotches, certain areas. Some of the adhesive was there, and it just was just left, and I had to clean it off. And just so you know, sometimes your first idea is not always the best one, and maybe even many times it's not. So it always pays to stop and think about what you're doing before you do it. Long story short, I took some, what I would describe as gentle, like a gentle light goof off. It's made for to get the adhesive off of your person. Like if you have a Band-Aid and you have it on for a day or whatever, and it leaves like some residue on your skin, you can literally use this stuff to clean it off. And I thought, well, you know, if it's gentle enough for your skin, it's got to be gentle enough for the gauges. Well, I was wrong, dead wrong. And I screwed them up. So a lot of the paint and stuff has come off. You can see right here where it says unleaded fuel only. That just wiped right off and started to wipe off some of the font on the gauges. And I quickly tried to neutralize that with I had these cleaning cloths that were like really super gentle, like cleaning cloths, with no bleach or anything in them. And I was using that to kind of neutralize it quickly. And I think that stopped it from doing any further damage, but the damage is done nevertheless. That said, what my suspicions were, I would have liked the gauges better if I just left them stock and put the red LEDs in there, because it just looks better. It matches, like there's no ghosting, the face isn't tilted as previously mentioned, and yada yada yada, right? Blah blah blah. But anyway, this is what it looks like with the gauges with the lights on now. And so I'll just show you. You can actually see light bleeding in from the back of the gauge right there. It just looks like somebody took sandpaper to the face of it, and it sucks. I really hate that, but what do you do? What do you do? So yeah, so there it is. But you can see and then the stereo lights up red too. I think I showed you that before, but this looks so much better, and it doesn't wash out with the red face. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was thinking the red face with the red LEDs being even brighter would just, you know, just look super intense and evil and I would love it, and didn't really have the effect I wanted, so I yanked that stuff off. But yeah, so I got to live with this right now, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do in the future. If I'm going to just get another gauge cluster. I mean, this gauge honestly looks pretty decent. I didn't put very much on that gauge, and there's a little bit around the edges of this, but I can live with that too. So really, I just kind of need just the tack. I have an idea of maybe just doing a different gauge cluster altogether, something custom, something that really hasn't been done before that I've ever seen. So that'd be pretty interesting, pretty exciting. And if it works, you know, and the cool thing too is it would be period correct as well, which is kind of cool. Let me know in the comments what you think, if I should go ahead and do that, or just keep the stock gauge cluster and just get some new faces, or just get a new cluster rather, and just keep the red illumination. That's probably really what I should do and would be the easiest route. But yeah, if anything, if I've proven anything, I always like to do things the hard way, I guess, and go the long way around the bush with everything. So we'll see. But I mean, it looks decent. I wish I didn't screw up the gauges, because I could live with this if the gauges weren't screwed up. But once again, my OCD, and that's what prompted all of this. And I kind of figured I might run into some problems, and it's kind of been one of those weeks, you know. But I've rambled long enough. But yeah, just wanted to give you guys an update of what I'm doing with the car. I'll probably have some more tiny little updates tomorrow, hopefully. We'll see. All right, later.